In this video, I'm going to explain to you guys what the fat loss hierarchy pyramid is and really what it is that you need to be putting the most amount of effort in when it comes to getting amazing results. Now, I remember seeing this a long time ago. This is back in COVID that I first discovered this pyramid when I was doing a nutrition course, I think it was at the time, some kind of learning that I was doing. And when I saw this, I was like, wow, that actually makes sense when you really start to look into what it is that's going to get you the most amount of results and the things that people actually stress a lot about, which don't really make that much of a difference. Okay, so I'm going to try and break this down for you guys so you know really where to place the most amount of your efforts, areas that you don't need to get that concerned or fussed about that often are made out to be a lot more important than what they actually are, right? So you can see here my fantastic pyramid drawing here. It's actually really not that great, but hopefully you can see this clear enough, guys, to see the kind of route this looks. Now, basically, the way that this works is at the bottom, we have what's the most important. This is obviously going to take up the biggest segment of the pyramid, the foundation. Then we have obviously an order of importance as we go right to the top. And then when we get to the peak, we obviously have what is the least amount of importance when it comes to fat loss. Okay, so I'm going to get stuck straight into this and really try and explain this to you guys so this makes a lot of sense. So when we start off at the bottom, okay, the number one most important thing, and this is what creates the foundation of everything, and without this, nothing else matters essentially when it comes to getting results, and that is being within a calorie deficit. Now, I'm sure you guys have probably heard this term so many times. It is just not something that's new. I think it was James Smith, you guys have probably know him, who made this so popular. It's just such a real blunt way of going about fat loss of if you're not in a calorie deficit, you're not getting results. And this is pretty much the crux of things, guys. Like if you're not in a calorie deficit and you're not consuming less calories than the calories that you burn every single day, you are not going to get results. It's not going to happen. And if you are not losing weight and you're not losing body fat, you are not in a calorie deficit. So it doesn't matter about anything else in this at all whatsoever. You have to be in a calorie deficit to get results. You have to make sure that you are consuming less calories than the calories that you burn every single day. And if you are not doing that, nothing else matters. You are not going to get results and you are not going to see a difference. So it's so important that you make sure that is the most important thing. You are in a deficit. Now, I'm going to link my calorie calculator below. I'm not going to go into the entire calculation of how you can make sure you're in a calorie deficit. You have to make sure you're adhering to this if you are serious about getting results as the number one most important principle. Otherwise, you can do everything else, but it won't do anything unless you are in a deficit. Number two, guys, and this is again after you've absolutely nailed the fact that we're in a deficit, you know that you're consuming less calories every single day than you burn, then we work on number two. Now, number two is important because the goal isn't just to lose weight, right? The goal is to lose body fat and build a better physique and improve your body composition. Now, you can be in a calorie deficit, and if you just simply want to see the scales go down, nothing else really matters. The calorie deficit is what's going to do that. But for my guys out there that are watching this, you probably want to build an impressive physique, okay? You probably want to look good. You probably want to take yourself off at the beach and be ripped. You want to look like you've got an aesthetic and an athletic look, and that is not going to come from just being in a calorie deficit. That comes when we start being in a calorie deficit and eating enough protein, but also lifting weights at the same time. So the weights is really the most important thing when it comes to building and improving body composition, right? So when we've nailed the deficit, we're focused, we know that we're hitting a deficit, we know that we're on top of that, we then work into the next step, which is lifting weights, okay? So this, again, you can check out my other videos, 3 to 4 days per week of lifting weights, more than enough to get amazing results. And as long as you're progressing on those sessions, you're getting stronger, you've got a good structure, you're gonna get insane results. So already, guys, when we start pairing this up, being in a calorie deficit, lifting weights, those two things alone are going to start to make a huge amount of these results. Honestly, you're looking at probably, I'm going to say 70%, honestly, just out of this. 70% of your results have already been achieved by making sure that you're in a calorie deficit, you're eating enough protein, and you're lifting weights 3 to 4 days per week, because that is what's going to really improve body composition. So it really comes down to these basics. Then we go into step number 3. So sleep should not be neglected, right? And you can see sleep is, all right, it's not the be all or end all, but it's important. It's number 3, right? So this is where you cannot neglect sleep and recovery. You have to make sure that you are aiming to get around 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep per night. If you can only achieve 6, if it's 6 quality hours, you'll probably be okay. I mean, I know people that run on less than that. I would try and get as much sleep as possible. Sleep is where we recover, guys. And if you're not getting enough sleep, this is what affects so many other things. You start to become hungrier, your hormones start to drop, your testosterone is going to start to come down, you're going to be more tired. You're probably going to find it more of a struggle to be able to be in a calorie deficit. You're definitely going to find it more of a struggle to continue to get stronger when it comes to lifting weights. It becomes more of a challenge. Of course, even just by doing these 2 things, with a lack of sleep, you can still get results, but realistically, we need to make sure that we're on top of our sleep schedule when it comes to this, okay? Again, I'm not gonna go in this video on how we can build an optimal night's sleep. There are plenty of videos that I've done on this previously, podcasts, all that kind of stuff, guys, but realistically, make sure that you dial in around 7 to 8 hours, quality sleep per night, and it just makes your life so much easier, and it makes the rest of these things so much easier as well. Because like I said, more motivation to lift weights, stronger, more energy, and it's much easier to control a calorie deficit when you've got more sleep, because you're gonna get less grouchy, you're gonna feel better, you're gonna be more stable when it comes to energy, you're gonna get less cravings, you're generally going to feel much better. So it's so important. Number 4, guys. So I'm going to say your sleep from here is probably then going to give you like another 20%. You can see where we're at right now. We've already made up 90%. So we've pretty much got like 10% here out of these 2 when it comes to the rest of the fat loss pyramid, right? How crazy is that? 10%, right? People put so much focus on cardio. It's not cardio that is going to get you amazing results to see you lose body fat. It helps. It's a tool. You know, if you do a little bit of extra cardio, it can help when it comes to making it easier to be within a calorie deficit or increase a calorie deficit, because obviously you're having a higher amount of energy expenditure. It is not the be all or end all. I promise you that now. It's not something that's essential, right? These things here are essential. Calorie deficit, essential. Lifting weights, essential if you want to build a good physique. Sleep, if you want to feel good and actually not feel like a zombie, I'm probably going to put down as semi-essential, of course, to be trying to get quality sleep. But cardio, it's just not, right? And I'm not saying not to do it, because there's actually a lot of benefits to doing cardio. It's good for your health. But when it comes to fat loss, it is not the most important thing, and it's really not going to play a huge factor if you make sure you are in a calorie deficit, you move around, you get your steps in. You know, that is the most important thing, rather than making sure that we get tons of cardio in place. If you've got the time, on 100%, go and do some cardio, factor that into your week. But don't think this is the most important thing. Don't sat there be thinking, oh, if I can't do any cardio, I can't get results. So don't think this is the first thing you're going to do when it comes to trying to lose weight. People go and, you know, do all these HIIT classes, or they start taking up running, or doing all these things like Joe Wicks workouts, because they think that's the important thing when it comes to fat loss. It's not. It's literally like 5–10% of the entire equation. So why are we putting so much of a focus on it? You don't burn that many calories from exercise. Very, very, very little. So don't focus on doing that. And lastly, guys, that brings me on to this, which, you know, let's just say this is 8%. We're going to give the last 2% to supplements. 2% out of 100 is honestly all I would give to supplementation when it comes to fat loss. Because guess what? You can get in amazing shape and results without even touching any supplements. Don't need to be taking them. But if you want to enhance your results and improve, there is possibly around a few % gain that you can get from taking the right supplements. Maybe if you're a bit deficient in certain ones as well. I am not going to go through this video and tell you exactly what supplements to take. I've done other videos on that. Go and check them out, and I'll explain them in those. But honestly, guys, like, people put so much focus on supplements. They think that those are the most important things. The fat loss pills, the fat burners, or taking whey protein, creatine, all these things. Like, guys, like all these BCAAs and stuff, they are not going to get you in shape. They might help from a certain way, depending on your situation, but they are never, ever going to make up the most important things. And when it comes to getting amazing results, we have to remember the foundations. And the foundations are built like this. Calorie deficit first, lifting weights comes second, sleeping comes third, doing some sort of cardio if you can would be the fourth thing. It's not that important. And then you obviously have the supplementation at the top. People think that this is the key thing, when in actual fact, this is the key thing. So you need to switch your mindset on what is actually important. So as always, I hope you found this video useful, guys. I hope you started to now understand really where you need to be placing all your efforts right now if you're trying to lose body fat and build a great physique. Make sure you smash the like button, make sure you subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.